You've been here before. Different woman, different city, maybe different version of you, but the same arc. You feel something real, you lean in, and somewhere between the beginning and the end, something slips. She pulls back, gets busy, starts responding differently, and you're standing there wondering what changed, running the tape back, trying to find the moment you lost it. Here's what nobody tells you. You didn't lose it in that moment. You lost it much earlier, in the way you showed up from the start. Most men learn about attraction from the wrong sources. Be consistent, be available, show her you're serious, be a good man. And those things aren't wrong exactly, but they miss the thing that actually moves a woman's nervous system. Because desire doesn't follow logic. Desire follows rhythm. It follows contrast. It follows the specific feeling that a man creates just by the way he moves through his own life. And most men have no rhythm at all. There are two types of men you've probably seen, or been. The first one, call him Max. Max is always there, texts back in under a minute, rearranges his schedule the second she mentions she's free, checks in constantly. His attention is a flood, unlimited, unearned, always available. He thinks this signals devotion. What it actually signals is hunger, and hunger, when it's this visible, doesn't create desire. It creates pressure. She starts to feel the weight of it, the obligation, and slowly, quietly, she starts looking for air. The second type goes the other direction. He's read something online about not being too available, so he waits 3 hours to reply, goes cold after a good date, creates distance on purpose. He thinks he's creating mystery, but there's no actual life behind the distance. It's a performance, and she can feel the performance. It's not confidence, it's insecurity wearing a mask. Both men are making the same mistake. They're using availability, or the removal of it, to manage how she feels about them. And anytime you're engineering your behavior to control someone else's feelings, you've already lost the plot. Here's what's actually happening beneath both of those patterns. The man who floods her with attention is running on fear. Fear that if he slows down, she'll forget about him. Fear that he's not enough on his own, so he has to stay visible. The man performing distance is running on the same fear. He just read that distance creates attraction, so now he's performing the behavior without having the substance behind it. Neither man has a life that's full enough to create natural rhythm. So one of them suffocates her with his emptiness, and the other one hides it. The alternative isn't some carefully calculated middle point. It's simpler and harder than that. A man with a real life creates rhythm naturally. He texts back when he's done with what he's doing. He makes plans and keeps them. He has things that matter to him that she isn't part of. Not because he's playing games, because those things actually exist. And that fullness, that's what she feels. Not the words he uses, not the strategy. The texture of someone who is genuinely occupied with something beyond her. This is the part most men miss. She's not responding to your tactics. She's responding to what your behavior signals about who you are when you're not trying to impress her. Now let's get specific. Because vague insight doesn't change behavior. Over-texting. You've done it. Maybe you're doing it now. The double text, the follow-up, the just checking in 40 minutes after she didn't reply. Every one of those texts feels reasonable to send in the moment, but taken together, they paint a picture. They say, I have nothing more important happening than waiting for you to respond. And that picture doesn't make a woman feel chosen. It makes her feel like the only thing on a very empty shelf. The fix isn't to ignore her. The fix is to genuinely have something else happening. Go train. Finish the project. Call your friend. And when you do text her from fullness, not from the anxious gap where her reply should be, collapsing your life around her schedule. She mentions she might be free Saturday, and suddenly your entire week reorganizes around that maybe. You hold the whole day open, cancel something you had, and when she says she can't make it after all, you feel it in your chest in a way that's way too heavy for a woman you've been on 3 dates with. That weight she can feel, maybe not consciously, but she feels it. And it makes her take up less space around you because she senses that her decisions have too much power over your emotional state. That's not romantic. That's fragile. A woman doesn't want to be responsible for stabilizing a man. She wants to feel the stability he already has. Performing depth to get her to feel something. You know what this looks like? The vulnerability that isn't really vulnerability, it's strategy. The meaningful conversation you steer toward because you read that emotional intimacy creates connection. The problem is that performed depth has a hollow sound. She might not be able to name it, but something in her knows the difference between a man who is sharing because he trusts her and a man who is sharing because he wants her to feel close to him. One pulls her in, The other pushes her away without either of you understanding why. So what actually works? What moves a woman from comfortable to can't stop thinking about you? 3 things. And none of them are techniques. The first is attention density. Not how much attention you give, how specific it is. The man who remembers the details she mentioned 2 conversations ago. Who notices what she's actually saying beneath what she's saying. Who looks at her like she's worth looking at, not like he's trying to make her feel seen. There's a difference. Performed attention is uncomfortable to receive. Real attention, the kind that comes from genuine curiosity, is rare enough that when a woman experiences it, she remembers it. The second is that you show her a version of herself she likes. Not through flattery, through how you make her feel in your presence. Some men make women feel managed. Some make them feel entertaining, but not quite real. The man who makes a woman feel both seen and elevated, who treats her intelligence seriously, who responds to her humor with real laughter, who doesn't flinch at her edges, that man becomes associated with a feeling she wants more of. She doesn't just want him, she wants who she is around him. The third is absence that means something. Not absence as a tactic, absence as a natural consequence of a man who is genuinely engaged with his life. When you disappear to go build something, to focus, to be with people you love, and you come back present, interesting, full, that contrast does something to her nervous system that no amount of strategic silence ever could. It says, this man has somewhere to be, which makes being with him mean something. Here's where I have to be honest with you. Everything in this video can be used 2 ways. You can take this framework and use it to become more genuinely attractive, a man with a real life, real attention, real presence. Or you can take it and turn it into a more sophisticated game, a smarter performance, a cleaner manipulation. And I'm not going to pretend the second option doesn't work short term. It often does. But there's a cost, because you can only perform fullness for so long before the emptiness underneath becomes obvious. And the woman you wanted, the one with real depth, real perception, she'll feel it before you realize she's already halfway gone. The only version of this that's sustainable is the one built on something real. A man who genuinely has a life he cares about, who is genuinely curious about the woman in front of him, who is genuinely not available every second because he is genuinely occupied. That man doesn't need rhythm as a strategy. He has it naturally. So here's the question I'll leave you with. And I mean this seriously. Not as a challenge to your worth, but as an honest inventory. If she disappeared tomorrow, what would your life actually look like? Is there enough there? Enough purpose, enough depth, enough motion that you could feel it and say, yes, I have something real here, with or without her? Because the answer to that question is the answer to everything else.